Hello, welcome back to the Kenny Roberts build. In this part we're going to start working on the brake system for the bike. We're going to start with the front brakes. We have the caliper here that has been cleaned up a bit. It still needs a coat of paint. The piston was seized in there, but I was able to get it out with a lot of heat and some compressed air down the line. We have the actual piston here. It's been cleaned up a bit and polished, it looks alright. We also have a rebuild kit for the brake lever, the pump. This has also been cleaned before. I did them in a ultrasonic cleaner at the same time for the black RD50. So we have the rebuild kit, some new pads for the front brake, gaskets, the lever itself. So let's get to it. Okay, so rebuilding this brake lever. We have a couple of parts here, a plunger, new spring, a rubber hat that goes on the spring, a copper washer. I don't really know what the function is for this one, but this goes on this plunger. And we also have a C-clip and a new hat. There's also a little bit of grease provided. So first up is this rubber hat. And this spring here, I don't know if you'll be able to see this on camera, but there is a little indent on this hat, and this thing has to go in the spring. Yeah, here we go. That's in. Oh, it's a little bit. Now it's in. Perfect. This spring actually goes first, and then the plunger and a little bit of grease so that this copper washer here actually stays on. I don't really know what the function is of this washer. If you know, please let me know in the comments. I'm curious. Then, if I remember correctly from the black RD50, this was a real hassle to do. If I remember correctly, then this hat goes like this, but we first have to mount this rubber hat on this plunger. There we go. Didn't lose the washer, perfect. Now, the plunger goes in first. Seems to get stuck. Maybe a little bit of grease here, so it goes in easier. Normally this grease is especially for brake parts, because if you use something else, like say WD-40 or anything, it has a possibility to contaminate your brake fluid, and normally this grease should not do that. There we go. Oh, yeah, it pops out again. Fairly easy. So the C-clip, so it doesn't pop out anymore. I can get this somewhat on camera. Okay, so we got the C-clip, push it in. So the O-ring is in, and then goes the oil reservoir itself. Maybe give it some grease so it goes in easily. There we go. Two little screws here. Then we have this rubber, I don't know what it's called, little rubber gasket. It goes in. These are actually pretty worn. Do I have a spare one? found a spare one. This one is all pretty flaccid. This has its normal shape. I think this one is going to be garbage. So the gasket goes on. Then this little plastic piece to retain the gasket. There we go. And then we have the actual cap. There we go. A rebuilt brake pump. Freshly polished brake lever. Let's put this on. And there we go. A rebuilt front brake pump from an old Yamaha bike. So we gave our front caliper a fresh coat of paint. Looks alright. I'm sorry if you can hear the ultrasonic cleaner in the background. I hope it's not too loud. So first up will be to install this new nipple here in order to bleed the system. Just hand tight is fine by now because we'll have to bleed it. The rubber cap to protect it. Then all we have left to do is install these new rubber gaskets. There are actually two different sizes on these rings. In diameter, the top one is a bit smaller, and also it's the bigger one is a bit thicker. And if I remember correctly, the biggest one has to go in the back or in the lower groove. So let's see if we can install this. There we go. Oh, yeah, there we go. It's in. First one is in. Perfect. Now the second one. There we go. New rubber rings in. I'm actually going to give them a bit of grease so the piston can slide in easier and doesn't cut the rings. Just a little bit, not too much. And now for the actual piston. This can be a bit tricky. Okay, here we go, it's in. Perfect. And now all we have left are the actual brake pads and the protective cover. There are two different brake pads. One of them has a little tab here, and that one goes in on the piston side. As for the top brake pad, there is a little threaded hole in here, and there's a little screw. What you have to do is you put the brake pad in from the inside, and then you mount the brake pad to the caliper with this plate. Basically the caliper fits in between the plate and the brake pad. So first up is going to be to push the piston all the way in so that the brake pads actually fit. So first brake pad, yes, there we go. And then the second. Yes. There we go. And there we have it. A rebuilt brake caliper. Oh no, I'm missing one more piece, the rubber boot. Here, this one. And we have a metal ring, a retainer. So this rubber boot is going over. Protects the caliper from dust getting in. There we go. This bracket can actually slide. It has a bushing in there for so we can move with the brake rotor if needed. And now for the metal ring. Oh, don't stab myself. Yes, here we go, perfect. So now we have a rebuilt front brake caliper. Awesome. Okay, let's see if we can mount the front brake caliper on the bike. I've already mounted the master cylinder. Looking pretty good. We also got the front fender. After many hours of polishing, this is what I got. It looks all right. It has a bit of damage here, but it's okay. And the black one actually has a much nicer front fender, but I'm not going to rub parts of that one. I'll mount this for now, and hopefully later on I can find better parts. But for now, this will be okay. So first up will be the brake caliper. This one sits like this. And the front fender has to go. Let's check the black one. Okay, like that. There we go. There we go. Front side is all done. Nice. Looks pretty good. I'm happy. Only thing we have left is the brake line, but that's for later on, because I'm not sure if I will have to remove this again. I hope not. As for the rear brake, I've mounted the brackets to keep it in place. Still need to mount the rear lever for the rear brake, but I am unable to find it, so maybe I'll be able to order a new one, or I have to keep searching in my parts bins. As for the rest, the rear brake pedal will be mounted when I get the engine in. I want to keep this part as open as possible for when I actually move the engine in. So I think that's it for this part. We have front brakes and somewhat of rear brake. So thank you for watching, and hope to see you next time. See you then.